The first thing is figuring out the one problem that you're solving. And that is a big thing that people don't know, whether they're just getting started or they've been in business for a while. Every single business solves a problem, whether you're Amazon by delivering packages to my house in 2 hours. It doesn't matter what type of business you have. Every single business solves a problem.
Welcome to the Process to Profit podcast, where we find out about the key processes and productivity techniques that drive successful service-based businesses. Whether you're just starting out or looking to scale, join us as we uncover practical strategies to streamline your operations and help you make more money by boosting your profitability. Let's get started. My guest today is Steph Blake. Steph is the founder and CEO of Simple Business School and Simple Business Suite. As a business coach and productivity expert, she specializes in helping online business owners streamline their operations for maximum efficiency and profitability. Perfect to have as a guest on this podcast. Through her customized, Steph's unique approach enables entrepreneurs to run successful businesses in just 20 hours per week or less, allowing them to reclaim their time and freedom. Through her customized all-in-one software solution and membership program, she equips clients with the tools and strategies needed to simplify their business processes, overcome overwhelm, and achieve sustainable growth, all things we love on this podcast. Steph's expertise extends to mindset coaching, systems optimization, and work-life balance strategies. She's also the host of the Simple Business Show podcast, where she shares insights and strategies for building simple, profitable online businesses. Steph, you're an excellent fit for this podcast. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I know you reworked some of my intro and it sounds so much better. So thank you for that.
Well, if I have to confess, AI actually rewrote some of your
Well,
intros, so we'll
thank
give
you to
Claude.
that. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that.
We'll
Always
give
using
Claude
processes.
credit.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was great.
Well, I know that I read your bio, your modified bio, but can you tell us a little bit more about where you come from, what you do, all of those good things?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll try to give you the condensed version of my story because it's relevant to what I'm doing now, right? So just for reference, I am a mom of 2 boys, 5 and 1.5 at the time of recording this. Also, wife, have a dog. So life is crazy in our household.
Sounds like it.
But yeah. And we live outside of Chicago, so we're in the Midwest. Just to give you like an idea of who I am right off the bat. And I started my business about 8 years ago after working in the corporate world for about 10 years. So prior to starting my business, I should probably start there, right? I was working I was on a very traditional trajectory, right? I went to high school, I went to college, got the degree, followed in my parents' footsteps, which is basically just to work 60 to 100 hours a week and then you retire, right? That's what I was on the trajectory for.
The American dream right there.
Exactly. And I was doing it. And like I said, I started I started with an internship while I was in college at an engineering company doing graphic design work. So I was designing instruction manuals, which is about as boring as you can probably think, but lots of processes in that I came to realize in hindsight. So after I did that for a few years, I was like, you know what, this is just not for me anymore. I want more for my life. Didn't want to design instruction manuals forever. So I moved to the city of Chicago, got a job at a digital marketing agency, worked my way from literally the bottom, doing graphic design work, to the top in about 3 years. And at that time, I knew that I wanted something more for myself, but I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know how to be an entrepreneur. Nobody in my family is entrepreneurial. I just knew I didn't want to work in this job. So I was on my lunch break at work, and there was this ad that popped up teaching you how to use your corporate skills to start your business. And I was like, oh, yes, me. That's me. That's exactly what I want to do. So I clicked on it, watched the free workshop, signed up for the thing. And that first year in business, I had 8 different businesses while I was working my 9-to-5 job. So as you can imagine, there was a lot going on.
Because even before the kids and the dog and the husband, it sounds like.
Exactly. I was married. I was very newly married at that time. We got married. And then 2 months later, I decided, hey, I'm going to start a business, which is like, surprise. But at that time, I was just so excited, so overwhelmed, and also had undiagnosed ADHD. So I was just doing all of the different things because I didn't know what to do. like most people when they get started, right? That's why I had 8 different businesses that first year and ended up making $53 total because I was not focused. I was just doing anything and everything to try to make
Hmm.
money because my long-term goal was to get out of that 9 to 5 job. Now, fast forward a couple of years and I had landed on doing virtual assistant work. So I did that for a couple of years, turned that into an agency. And by the time, well, I found out I was pregnant with my first son in 2018. So that was when I realized, okay, it's time for me to really focus, really streamline, and really simplify because I was on track to end up in the hospital for burnout because I was just working constantly between the 9 to 5 job, between my business, between just living my life, right? I was just constantly on the go, working close to 100 hours a week. And like I said, when I got pregnant with my first son, that was the wake up call. It was like, you cannot keep doing this anymore. This is not sustainable. You will end up in the hospital, like I said. So that was when I really focused on simplifying everything and created accidentally created the system that I teach people today of how to simplify your business and run it in 20 hours a week or less because I didn't have another choice. I was forced out of that out of necessity. And after doing that, I was able to leave that 9 to 5 job 2 weeks before my son was born. Now, I do not recommend having a full-time business and a full-time baby. That's a story for another day. But that was really what catapulted me into teaching people what I do now, which is to really simplify everything in your business and frankly your life, because that is going to create that white space that you need to scale your business and be more profitable.
Great. Well, that was quite the journey that you took to get here then.
Yeah,
Um,
that was the
similar
short version.
similar to mine, but without the children. Um,
Yes.
so now you have an online business helping other online business owners. Can you tell me kind of who you help, how you help them, what kind of offerings you have for them, or
Yeah.
what kind of problems you solve for them, I should say?
Yeah, absolutely. So the main problem that I help people solve is simplifying and streamlining their businesses so they can work in less than 20 hours a week. That's a big thing because the majority of people who come to me, they're into places. Either they're just getting started, kind of like I was when I started my business. They're overwhelmed, they have all of these ideas and they don't know what to do to move forward. Or they've been in business for a little bit longer and also, like I was, they're just doing all of the things, constantly working, but still not seeing the results that they want. And those results could be either monetarily focused, so maybe they're not making as much money as they want, or they're making money, but they're just working constantly and they have no life outside of their business. So those are really the two groups that I attract and the way that I support them. So for that first group, the best way is in my membership, the Simple Business School, which you mentioned in my bio. So that's really where we focus on taking a high level overview of your business, saying, okay, what's going on? What do we need to change and fix? And frankly, get rid of, because there's a lot of stuff that we can get rid of that you don't even need to be doing so that you can simplify your business, right? So that's really great. Like I said, for the person who's just getting started, maybe they've been in business for a year or two, and then I have a higher level mastermind for people who need that more individualized support in a higher level container with more experienced people who just get each other, right? Because those are two very different stages of business, but the main focus is all about simplification, right? And then I also have the Simple Business Suite, which I could talk about if you want.
That is a lot. So basically, you can help business owners kind of whatever stage that they're in. What is the first step that any business owner needs to do to actually be able to work 20 hours a week? Because I'm sure a lot of people listening and watching are saying, well, that would be great, but it's not going to work for my business. So, what's
Yeah.
sort of the first thing that you recommend people looking into or figuring out or doing in order to be able to do just that 20 hours a week? And does it work for every single kind of business? Or are there certain businesses that works better for, and, some that doesn't work for? What does that look like?
Yeah. So, yes, the answer is yes, it works for every business. Now, the the thing that happens is you will make up stories in your own mind of why it cannot work for your business because I did this for a very long time too. And there's more that goes into that which we won't have time to get into now, which is like the mindset, the nervous system, all of that. However, in terms of tangible steps that you can take, the first thing is figuring out the one problem that you're solving. And that is a big thing that people don't know, whether they're just getting started or they've been in business for a while. They don't know the problem that they're solving. And every single business solves a problem, whether you're Amazon by delivering packages to my house in 2 hours, right? That's a big problem.
Right.
Or you are, I don't know, Chipotle, right? Where you are creating delicious burritos for people to eat, right? It doesn't matter what type of business you have. Every single business solves a problem. And then on the back end of that, selling one thing to solve that problem. So I wanted to use those two as an example because Amazon, they first started selling books and that was it. They didn't sell anything else. Now you can go on Amazon, you can find anything and it can be in your door at maximum 2 days, right? Now, Chipotle, like I said, on the other side, they started only selling burritos. Now they have a variety of different things. But those two companies, again, these are big companies, right? But it doesn't matter because they all started small. Just like anybody listening to this, we all are starting at the same place. We are starting with the same goal to create these businesses that give us freedom. And the easiest way to do that right now is to figure out the one problem that you're solving and create one offer to solve that problem. That is it.
So I didn't know if you're going to say more about that. So,
Oh, I mean, I can.
well,
But
I'll just ask the question. So how would someone go about sort of figuring out, like if they were like you and they're like, I have all these things that I want to do and all these people I want to help and all these problems I want to solve, how does someone go about figuring out what's the one problem that I should focus on solving first? How do they, narrow it down to that most important thing?
yeah, so you're not going to like this answer. And the people listening probably aren't going to like this answer anyway, but that's okay. It's truly customized to each person, right? Because the skills that I have, the skills that you have, the skills that each person listening to this have are completely unique. Our experiences are unique. Our stories are unique. Even if we call ourselves the same thing, like for example, if we both call ourselves a virtual assistant, we can do different aspects of that role very differently. So the first thing that I would ask, I'm going to split this up into 2 stages, just kind of based on where people are at. So if you are just getting started and you are trying to figure out a problem that you can solve, I would say look at what you can do right now. What skills do you already have? And if you're like, I don't have any skills, yes, you do. Every single person has skills of some sort,
Mm-hmm.
whether you are a stay-at-home mom who takes care of your kids, that alone is a skill in and of itself, or you've been working in a corporate position for the past 15 years. You have learned things in that role that you have done in the past. Even if I was an umpire for a summer, there are things that I used when I was a softball umpire that I still incorporate into my business today. But we have to take a step back and we have to think about this more strategically. Of like, sure, we all have skills, but how can we monetize those skills that we have, right? So that would be the first thing. Look at the skills that you already have, because again, everybody has them. If you don't think that you have any, ask people around you what you're good at, and they will be happy to tell you. Okay. So that's really the first thing. And then after you figure out what those are, you can monetize it. And truly the easiest way to get started in business is to just do a service for another person, right? So, for example, if you are great at organizing, let's just use that as an example. You can go into other people's houses and you can organize their closet, right? You are going in, you are providing a service, they are giving you money for it. It's easiest way to make money because you are just literally using the skills that you already have. Now, if you've been in business for a while and you have a lot of different skills, or you're good at a lot of different things, or you enjoy doing a lot of different things, you consider yourself quote unquote multi-passionate. I do too. I completely understand this. So in that case, we also want to focus on solving one main problem, but we want to be strategic with how we are solving that problem and the offer that we are creating to solve that problem. So, for example, my one offer that I sell is the Simple Business School. That's really my main offer, where I want people to come to. And then after that, when they're ready, they can go to the mastermind. But that is my one main offer. And I strategically designed it in that way so that I can utilize all of the different skills that I have and all of the different things that I enjoy doing. So that could be anything from coaching, consulting, systems, mindset, strategy, marketing, all of it. But that membership didn't just come out of thin air, right? Like I had to actually do the work and create a process and a framework that worked for me. And then I could teach other people how to do as well. So, like I said, it's completely customized to each individual and the skills that they have. And that's kind of where that gray area comes in, because there is no right or wrong answer. And there is no answer that I can give anybody right now and say, go do this thing and you will work 20 hours a week, because that it doesn't exist. Truly.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's funny, when I started my business, I did the same thing. I was like, well, I've been doing leadership coaching as part of my corporate business, my corporate job. So that's what I should do as as a business owner. And then come to find out, like, I didn't actually enjoy it that much. Like, I liked it, but it wasn't something that I was passionate about and wanted to talk about 24/7. And I was talking to my business coach and she was like, well, what do you enjoy doing? And I was like, well, I really enjoy technology and systems. And she was like, well, then do that. Like, people need help with that. Why wouldn't you just do that? So it's funny how obvious it is when you talk to someone else about, like, well, that's what you're good at, so that's what you should do, as opposed to like really overthinking it in your own head. So if,
Yeah.
like you said, if you're not sure what you're good at, just ask someone and they'll tell you. For
Yeah,
sure,
exactly.
they'll
And
tell
I mean,
you.
I did the same thing when I first started my business. My background was in graphic design. So I was just designing things, but I don't love to do it. I can do it. I'm good at it, but it's not something that I want to do every day. Like whereas some people, they could just do it all day long. I love to do a lot of different things. I'll blame it on my ADHD. I don't care. But I love to do a lot of different things. I love to put my fingers in a lot of different buckets, my hands in a lot of different buckets. Like you, like, and that's okay. You don't That's the other piece that we should talk about too, because when you pick something, you don't have to stick with that thing forever. Your
Yeah.
business is going to evolve like you as a human evolve, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those 8 different businesses that I started 8 years ago now, almost 9 years ago, I don't do any of those now, because I took the different pieces from all of those different things that I enjoyed doing, and then I built this really beautiful offer that I now love to do and I enjoy. But again, that is something that came with time. That is not something that you can rush.
Yeah, and I think a lot of new business owners feel like, well, I have to do what I love. Like, I have to really love it. And it's hard because, like the leadership coaching was my first full-time business. But before that, I was doing other things. I was doing vlogging on YouTube. I was doing, I tried to do Pinterest management for a while, but never really got any traction with it. I was doing like a hiking blog on WordPress and still get traction on that. Like, it's still up there out in the ether and people still visit it. But like, none of those things were my passion, but they were things that helped teach me how I run an online business. What are the technologies and the systems behind it? And it helped inform my now business that I have today. So you kind of have to go through, like you were saying, those growing pains, those experiences, those sort of trying things and seeing what works and what doesn't and what you enjoy and what you can maybe pick and choose from to build something that you do enjoy and something that you do want to talk about 24, because when you own a business, you talk about it 24/7. That was the thing with the leadership coaching, is that I found that I could not talk about leadership topics 24/7.
Yeah.
So, like, you have to really want to do it, want to talk about it, want to educate people with it. So it's important that you kind of try all of the different things and piece them together to get to the thing that will then take you to the next step. And again, that may not be your forever thing. Like, you may find in your simple business, in your membership, that like, this isn't really what I want anymore, and I'm going to pivot. And you can. Like, that's the joy of being a business owner. So I think people need to really understand that it's a journey. It's not just something that you start off with and it's going to be perfect and you're going to know everything from the beginning and it'll be all great from the start.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, absolutely. You will know nothing in the beginning. I knew nothing in the beginning, but I
Mm-hmm.
loved what you said about learning the different pieces, especially the technology. That was where I got hooked. I'll be honest with you. And that was why I started all of those different businesses that first year, because I was like, "Ooh, this is so much fun to like set up a business, like set up the email, set up the website." I loved the tech. I just really nerd out on the tech, which now, guess what, makes sense that I have a software
Same. Yep.
company. Right? So it's like I didn't know 8 years ago that I was going to start the Simple Business Suite. That would have never been in my radar, right? But now, not only is that something I'm good at, it's also something that I can help other people with, right? So it's all of these different pieces that come together over the course of your journey, and I think that's the most important thing for everybody here to understand is it's a journey. It's a journey, and wherever you are at right now, you are at the perfect place in your journey. You cannot rush it as much as you may want to, as much as you may want to be at X level that you see somebody else on. You cannot rush it because everything that you are learning right now is going to have a massive effect on where you're going to be at a day from now, a week from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, right? So that is also really, really crucial. And another thing that came to me when you were talking is the pivot. And this is something that especially the newer business owners, when they come to me, they're like, okay, I'm going to pick one thing. I'm going to pick one thing and I'm going to focus on it. And then a couple months later, they come to me and they're like, Steph, I really don't want you to be mad at me, but
Like
I'm
you're gonna be
changing my
bad.
one thing.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to reprimand you.
You're
This
not
is
in
good
trouble.
because,
It's okay.
right, exactly. You are safe. You are not in trouble. But now we know what you don't want to do. And that is amazing because guess what? If you would have just kept doing that thing for the next 12 months, 3 years, you would have been miserable and you very likely, highly probable would not have seen the results that you wanted because you didn't enjoy what you were doing. And that is such an important piece of being an entrepreneur. You have to enjoy it.
Yeah. And I guess that's kind of a great question of how do you know when it's time to pivot? How do you know that, okay, are you just burnt out on this specific topic? Are you burnt out on your whole job? Or are you, really in the wrong place at the wrong time? And there really needs to be a shift as opposed to just saying, oh, I'm tired today or I'm tired this week. But, overall, I still want to keep talking about this specific thing or I still want to be focusing on this specific thing. How do you know that, okay, it's really time for me to move on to something else because this is not working?
Yeah, and that's a great question because everybody goes through phases of not wanting to do it. There's some days where I wake up and I'm like, if I have to look at a computer screen, I'm going to throw it out the window. I don't want anything to do with business right now. So you have to give yourself, first of all, permission to know that it's okay to not want to do something forever. But we also need to make sure that you're not getting stuck in this place of fear and thinking, okay, this business isn't working because I'm not making enough money. That's really the biggest thing that I see is people will start a business for like, I don't know, a couple of months. They're not making the money that they want. And then they're like, okay, this business doesn't work. I have to go start something new. Okay. So if that's the space that you're in right now, first of all, we need to ask yourself, okay, if you were making money, would this be something that you enjoyed? Yes or no? The vast majority of people say yes. Okay. So that just means there are some more strategic things that we need to do on the back end of your business. And there's likely some mindset work that we need to do so that you can start making money and really enjoy your business again. Right now, so that's kind of the first way to look at it. Now, if you've been in business for a while, you've been like running, everything's running well, you're making money, yada, yada, and you are getting to the point where you're like, I really don't want to do this anymore. There are a couple of things that I would look at. First, ask yourself, do you have support? So do you have other people helping you in your business? Because typically at that point, it's like, I'm doing a lot of things that I don't want to be doing. I really want to focus on doing this one thing, right? So first, look at that. Do you have the team members to support you? And if you don't have those team members to support you, ask yourself, if I had other people doing this work for me, or if I automated these things, would I enjoy this more? Usually, again, the answer is yes. So that's where we just have to revisit whatever's happening in the back end of your business and make some tweaks to it, right? And always mindset work, always, 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 because that's just an ongoing thing. And there was another piece that I was going to add to this and then the third piece was if you have gotten to that point where you just know that you're done, You're like, I'm really done. Give yourself some breathing room. So give yourself, I would say, it depends on the situation, 30 to 90 days. 39 because you don't want to just burn a business to the ground. There are a lot of factors to consider if you're working with clients, if you have launches coming up, right? There's so many different factors to consider that you can't just burn your business to the ground one day. I mean, you could, but there's going to be a lot of stuff to clean up if you do that. So give yourself some space. You may just need to take a break from your business for a week or two. And I have noticed, even for myself, when I can step away fully for a week and I come back, I'm like, oh, yes, I love this. Let's do this again. So give yourself some breathing room before you just jump off the cliff and just burn everything to the ground, because that's going to have a lot of negative repercussions that you don't want to deal with. And you may not be able to see it right now, but in the future, there's so many different things that could happen. So just give yourself some space. And if you have a mentor, a coach, or somebody that you can talk through it with, please talk it through with them so that they can give you an outside perspective as well.
Yeah, and I think that outside perspective is so important. However you get that, either like you said, through a mentor or a coach, or even just another business friend. We as entrepreneurs and solopreneurs tend to be very solitary and tend to be very lonely. And so it's important to start creating a circle for yourself of other business owners that are going through the same things and can
Yep.
give you perspective and can give you that help when you start facing these kinds of questions. Even if you can't afford, a coach, having other people that are in the similar situation will help kind of move you forward, I think. And
Yeah,
then
absolutely.
you mentioned mindset. So what are some of the biggest mindset blocks you see in new business owners specifically of, preventing them from building the business that they want and building the life that they want around their business?
Yeah. So the biggest one is fear. And this can come up at truly any stage of business. But for the people who are just getting started, it's fear of what will people think of me? And a lot of the times, this is subconscious, and we don't even realize we're thinking this, which is really fun and something that as an entrepreneur, you get to work through. Yay. But I will say, entrepreneurship was the best thing that's ever happened to me, not only because of like, the freedom and whatnot it gives me, but also because it forced me to learn a lot about myself that otherwise I don't think I would have learned if I was just staying in my corporate job forever. It forced me to face a lot of things that um, I had been running from. For example, fear of what my family would say about me. So I, especially in the beginning, for the first 3 years, I didn't post any videos. I didn't go live. I wouldn't show any photos of my face because I thought that if somebody from high school, when I graduated 10 years prior, saw something and said something negative about me, it would be the end of my world. And I wasn't able to handle it. That negative feedback, that negative um, criticism. And even if it wasn't negative, even if it was just somebody seeing me, like I was not ready for somebody to see me doing this because I didn't believe in myself. I didn't trust myself. So that's really the second thing is one, people are just afraid. And then two, it's lack of confidence. And the confidence comes over time, truthfully, but that confidence will come when you get more clarity and you start to make more money. Right? So those are really the two main things, and then after that is the nervous system work, which again, that's a whole other conversation that we don't necessarily, need to get into right now, but that was really the thing that changed my life and changed my business for the better when I started to, like, literally go inside to my body and create, create calm in my nervous system because I realized for my entire life I had been in a state of fight or flight, which is why I was just going nonstop, right? Which most people do for a variety of reasons, whether it's through trauma they experienced when they were younger, programming from our society, right? There's a variety of reasons why that happens, but that was really the third thing that set me, I don't want to say set me over the edge, but like really, really helped to give me the confidence that I needed to scale to the levels that I want to scale to.
Yeah, and it's funny, I actually recently had on a woman who does somatic therapy and talked a lot about the nervous system and things like that. So I'll link to that episode in the show notes for you guys. But before I became a business owner, I thought I was a pretty confident person. Like I used to do
Yeah.
presentations at work and like in person and online, and I never really had a problem like getting my picture taken and presenting in front of a crowd, and like that never bothered me. And then I became a business owner and I was like, well, this is kind of a whole new level. And like, I don't know that I'm comfortable even just posting something on LinkedIn was
Yep.
really intimidating because that fear of someone, you know, saying something negative or arguing with you or, challenging what it is that you're saying is really intimidating. And it's really challenging to get over. And as someone who thought I was pretty confident, it was a really big surprise that, like, no, actually, as a business owner, like, there's a whole lot more involved and there's a whole lot more at stake, it feels like. So, yes, totally agree. That fear and like not having confidence was really a big eye opener for me when I started my business, not realizing that I was having these things going on internally and that being a business owner brought out of me to kind of like show me like, oh, actually you do have some things happening inside and you have some things you're going to have to work through to make this really really feel good and feel like something you want to do. And now I get on camera and I don't care, and like people can say whatever they want about me, and we say that, but it's partially true and partially not. But it's just like you said, it comes with time, it comes with making money, it comes with learning more about yourself. So it's just so interesting what you start your business thinking about yourself and what you end up learning about yourself as part of the journey. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when I started my business, I was the same way. I would always say, "I don't care what anybody thinks about me." Like, I don't care. Turns out I cared a lot.
yes.
I cared a lot what people thought about me. And it's only been until I mean, for me personally, it was after I had kids, I was like, "Okay, now I really don't care." Because when you have children, you are in the most vulnerable situation of your life that's, like, literally nobody like, at that point, it's like, you've done it, right? And that was really what kind of catapulted me into, one, not caring. Again, like, there's levels. Like, if somebody says something really mean about me, like, that's going to affect me a little bit.
Yeah.
Can I move past it? Sure, absolutely. Now I know how
Or
to, but it's
yeah, or if like a client says something really mean about you, like that's different than some rando on the internet saying something
right.
mean about you. So yeah, I agree. There's like different levels
Exactly.
about meanness.
Yeah, yeah, but the difference now is before if somebody would have said that, it would have sent me into a spiral for months. Now I can see it from so many different perspectives of like, okay, did I actually do something wrong here? Maybe I did. I don't know. What is that person going through right now? Are they I don't really like this word, but, like, are they projecting? Like, is something going on in their life right now, and I'm just the punching bag? Because that's okay. If that's the case, I know that it has nothing to do with me. But, again, this comes with time, and this comes with a lot of nervous system work to rewire and really understand that at every single stage of your business, every single day, every single minute of your life, we are truly doing the best that we can in that moment. And giving ourselves the space to not only understand that, but also forgive ourselves for anything that we've done previously that we didn't feel great about too. So that's why I said like this could be a whole other conversation because
Right.
there's so much here that we could talk about.
Yeah. So, speaking of overcoming things, a lot of people start out businesses as perfectionists and they start out thinking like I'm going to do everything perfectly and I'm not going to make any mistakes and I'm going to know everything from the start, and I'm not going to make the mistakes that other business owners have been making. I'm going to be perfect. How do you help people overcome that perfectionism of like, oh, well, I can't post this until I really get it perfect, or I can't, launch this thing until it's really perfect. How do you help people kind of overcome that mindset block of that need for perfectionism?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different things here. One, you have to do that inner work to figure out why that perfectionism is there because I'm going to tell you mine was so bad. My perfectionism was awful. I would not send an email out until I had reviewed, and this was before AI. I reviewed it. I had my husband review it. I ran it through, I think Grammarly was around then. I was like running it through Grammarly multiple times. I would hold on to one email for days before I would hit send on it because everything had to be buttoned up and perfect. But what that told me was one, I'm spending a lot of time and energy, most importantly, doing all of these different things and pushing myself to the brink of burnout to be perfect. When what I realized was nobody cares. Nobody cares. And people resonate with you more when you are real versus a buttoned up picture of what you think they want. And that was one of the things from my story is I'll just share this very quickly is when I was younger, I always felt like I had to be a different person because I didn't feel like people liked me for the person that I was. So I realized when I stepped into entrepreneurship, again, all of your stuff's going to come up when you become an entrepreneur. I was putting on this mask again of being, okay, who do people want Stephanie to be? Not who does Stephanie want to be? So then that's where the perfectionism came in of like, okay, these imaginary people on the internet that I don't even know think that I should have all of my words spelled correctly in my email. They think that I should be wearing this color shirt. They think that I should be saying these words. My branding should be this color. But it wasn't anything that I wanted, right? So that's really the big thing is figuring out where is this perfectionism coming from? Like, did something happen when you were younger that kind of forced you into this perfectionism? 99.9% of the time, something happened where you felt like you had to be perfect because there was something happening in your life where that was like your survival mechanism. So you just carried that through, right? And then the second thing that I want people to consider is by spending all of this time and energy being perfect, what are you saying no to? Right? So if you're saying yes to fixing an email for 3 hours, what are you saying no to? Are you saying no to time with your family? Are you saying no to taking a shower? There were times where I didn't take a shower some days because I had to make everything perfect, right? And then the third piece of that is what is happening by you trying to be perfect. So what I mean by that is who are you not serving right now because you are stuck in this level of perfectionism? Because I know a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people in your audience, a lot of people who are in my world, they want to serve people. They want to help people. That is not the whole reason, but that's a big reason behind why they have their businesses. So by hiding behind a screen, not sharing your story, not sending that email, not creating that social media post, you are actually doing a disservice to those people that you could be helping. So if nothing else sticks with you, just think about that. Think about how you are not helping other people by trying to be perfect all of the time.
Yeah, and I think that mindset shift is so important, not just for perfectionism, but also for sales. Like
Yeah.
realizing that you're out here because you have something to offer, because you want to help people and can help people, because you know that your services are needed and important. And by holding back, people are potentially missing out on that help that you could potentially be providing for them. So, what would you say to someone who is struggling with that idea of, I don't want to feel like I'm pushing sales. I don't want to feel like I'm slimy. I don't want to feel like I'm bothering people with trying to ask for sales. How does that tie in with the perfectionism? And how did someone overcome that mindset block of, I don't want people to be annoyed by me or feel like I'm really a pushy used car salesperson?
Yeah. So there's really two sides to this that I like to talk about. And the first is stay out of other people's wallets. That's a big thing that I see people overthinking when they're trying to price their services or they're trying to price their offer. They're like, well, my person cannot afford this, but you don't know what anybody can afford. So stay out of their wallets, price your service, price your offer at whatever you need to price it at. And then the next step is selling that thing, right? So to truly get over that, I want you to consider a real life example of when you are thinking about going to dinner, right? And you ask your friends and family for a restaurant recommendation. Do they have any trouble giving you a recommendation for a restaurant? No. But what they're actually doing is selling you on that restaurant right now, right? Same thing with like a journal. If you go to a friend's house and you see like this beautiful journal sitting on their table and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Where did you get?" And she's going to tell you about this beautiful journal, right? Or the newest phone that comes out, right? People have no problem selling things to you. But that's the thing. You don't think that they are selling them. So that's where we need to shift that mindset from selling into serving. So when you can truly understand that the value that you are bringing to the table with this service is only serving other people, it doesn't feel like selling because you are, again, solving a problem with that offer that you're selling. So it goes back to what we were talking about before. Figure out the problem that you're solving, create an offer to solve that problem. But again, a lot of people don't know that problem that they're solving. So it makes selling so much more difficult because they don't know the problem they're solving, right? They're just saying,
Right.
hey, buy my thing, but nobody's just going to buy your thing. They need to know what they're going to get out of it too,
What's
right?
in
So
it for me?
again, exactly. And that's the case with anything we buy, right? So
Yeah.
you really have to do your own homework to understand, again, what that problem is you're solving and really understand the transformation that somebody's going to receive after you complete that service for them or they buy your thing. How is their life going to be different? And then you also need to understand how to convey that to that person. Okay. So if I'm selling a service, you want my service, I need to tell you all of the different things in my marketing messaging about how it will benefit your life.
Yeah, and I think that that's a great point to make because I think a lot of people want to talk about the features. They want to talk about the how many sessions you get and how many, worksheets you get and, you're going to get all these different modules that you can work from, whereas people really want to know, okay, but is it going to work for me? Like I don't care if you have 5 modules. I want to know if it actually works for me in my situation and is it going to solve this problem that I specifically have?
Right. Exactly. Nobody cares about how many modules are in your course. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what the title of your course is. Right. There's so many different things that people obsess over when the only thing that actually matters is making sure that person knows that you can help them. And that comes again with a lot of work to understand who this person is. And that's another piece that people just really slide over because they don't want to think about it. They don't want to do the work to understand who they're selling this thing to. But if you don't understand who you're selling this to and how you solve that problem, you will have a very, very, very hard time making sales because
Yeah.
again, people don't want the modules. They want what's going to happen after module 1, right?
Yes.
How is their life going to change after that?
Yeah. Well, Steph, thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed talking with you. Is there any sort of final words of wisdom that you want to leave with our audience?
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I would say my biggest piece of advice is to just be okay with where you're at right now. You don't have to compare yourself to anybody else because where you are at right now, I said this before, is the perfect place for you to be. And know that whatever goal that you have for yourself, you will get there. You will get there. Just have some patience, trust yourself, and know that it is coming for you.
Yes, great advice. It's something we all need to hear repeated multiple times, I feel like, especially here as entrepreneurs. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is theblakecollective.com. So you can go there. That'll really show you all of the different things that I'm doing. Like I said, the Simple Business School Mastermind and my Simple Business Suite software. And then if you want to hang out with me on Instagram, that is my main platform. My handle there is the Blake Collective as well.
All right, great. And you have a podcast, right? What's the name of your podcast?
Oh, I
People
do.
want to
I
check
do.
you out.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me about my podcast. It is the Simple Business Show. So you can find that at simplebizshow.com, biz with a Z.
And I'll make sure I link all of that in the show notes and in the YouTube description. Again, Steph, thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed talking with you. And everyone else, I will talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me.